morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to wherever you happen to be. Welcome to Tuesdays with Peter, and this is Peter. I'm Peter J. Redding. I'm a professional coach. I'm a professional coach mentor. I'm a professional coach supervisor. I'm a professional coach trainer. And there's three passions that I love talking about and am fascinated by and have been fascinated by for the last, 30 years. First one is self-mastery. This is what our topic of today will be involving. The second one is coaching mastery. And the third one is learning mastery. And sometime later in 2022, we'll talk about the principles of the inspired learning model as part of that sense of curiosity around learning about how learning takes place, learning about how learning is something that does not have to be as arduous, frankly, as a critique-based learning environment, which is what I was exposed to most of my life. So you can look forward to that. For today, we are talking about self-mastery and specifically around the 21 principles that I wrote about back in 2008, published in 2009. And it's the Positively Brilliant Self-Mastery by me. So there you go. We're on principle 8. Let me clear my throat. And there I am in all my glory. So principle 8 that's written about in Positively Brilliant Self-Mastery is to take responsibility for creating your life. Or if you want to put it in first person, I take responsibility for creating my own life. And this is still under the life affirmation attitudes, because this is an attitude that I choose to have, or I forget and don't choose to do or to have, and allow other people to do it. They direct traffic, and all right, Peter, this is what you have to do today. This is what you have to do with your life. This is what you have to do in the world of corporations, if that's what we're going into. This is the way you behave when you're with family. This is the way you behave, and so on and so forth, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but there's lots of people willing to do that. And around almost, I'm going to assume every human being goes through some form or fashion of that for many, many years, and maybe for a whole lifetime, that they tell another human being how to live. And so this is breaking that model, maybe, or breaking that paradigm that, well, maybe I'm meant to be doing something else. Maybe I'm meant to be living in a fashion that is exemplary for another human being or a group of people. Maybe I'm meant to be doing something different than what has been dictated. And I say that in the most gentlest of terms. I often say in my coach training that my parents didn't wake up in the morning each morning and say, okay, so let's see, what can we do to screw up Peter so he needs therapy at 37? They loved me. They wanted the best for me. They wanted things for me that they weren't able to be, that they literally could not afford financially or attitudinally as they were growing up. They loved me, and I was blessed to have two parents that did love me and know that and knew that about them. But it's beyond that. It's beyond that in terms of the examination that we're going through in these principles. And today is bang on the purpose of this whole part of my life. This whole part of the book is challenging you, the observer, the reader, Do I take responsibility for creating my own life? Or to what degree? And the story contributed today is by Sherry Boone, dear friend of mine, still is. Love Sherry. She is a master coach mentor, who lives very much on purpose, very much a conscious life. And she's not with us today, but she will be. I'll read her story, and it's inspiring. It just plain inspiring. So let's get to some of the things that I like to do in this series is to read it. One of my favorite quotes that applies to this particular aspect of living your positively brilliant self. Our lives are not determined by what life brings to us, but by the attitude we bring to life. A positive attitude causes a chain reaction of positive thoughts, events, and outcomes. It is a catalyst, a spark that creates extraordinary results. And it's anonymous. I don't know who did that. I tried to do a lookup, Google lookup, to see if it matched, and it came up as anonymous again when I did it back about a week or so ago. But whoever was writing this is exactly on point for this whole chapter, this whole principle. I used to share with colleagues that say, okay, so how's life treating you, right? I stopped talking about or asking that question in that manner back, at least 15 years ago, maybe now 20 years ago. And rather than asking him how life's treating him, saying, how are you treating life? And reversing it, because that again is on point of, and my my way of reminding them, you're in the driver's seat here, right? You get the control panel in front of you there. So how are you treating life, as opposed to how's life treating you? Because one, I'm a victim, and I refuse to be a victim as much as possible. I suppose I still have some of that left in me. But yeah. All right. So let's here's a couple of things that I wrote back, what's that, 12, 13 years ago now. And this is still under section 2. We're still under section 2 of the book, Your Creative Human Nature. And I don't read the whole thing, but it's just some excerpts. What a great attitude this is. By taking on this attitude, you will in a single stroke stop being a victim and stop being at the mercy of what others think you should do or how you should be. It is a call to be responsible for living your own life and for creating what aligns with your most authentic self. This is a life liberating attitude. This is a life liberating attitude. This completely reorients your thinking and focus to start looking for and choosing what best serves you to be living your own life. The you that is being served is your positively brilliant you, your divine you. Not the old you who has been living somebody else's life or version of a life. For the first 37 years of my life, other people pretty much created my life. I was on autopilot with an attitude that I had to do and be what others wanted. This burned me out, quite literally, by the way. At 37, I was an old man, and I was exhausted. My health was in jeopardy. It was what they might call today a hot mess. This burned me out. When I changed my attitude to create my own life, I reclaimed my life forever. You don't, the ones that are listening to this, reading this, you are the only one who can take responsibility for creating your own life. I can't force you to do that. I can suggest, I can inspire, but I can't create that for you. You have to create it yourself. And you have a choice as to what life you are living. one of self-mastery, highly recommended, by the way, or other directed mastery. And other directed mastery, I mastered that for the first 37 years of my life. I followed my parents' dictums, got education, Marine Corps, good soldier. They love me. My corporate jobs that I had for the next 25 years after that, they love me because I was a workaholic, man. I was a company man and I did good work. Okay. And it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad all the way through. But that is other directed mastery. What we're talking about today is self-mastery. And that takes consciousness, and that takes connection, and that takes reminding myself that, wait a minute, this is my life. What do I want? Who do I want to be serving? How do I show up? So on and so forth. So we're going to get into it today. Yeah. That choice point, the fulcrum of whose life am I living? Mine or somebody else's? So Sherry writes a story titled, "It All Comes Down to Me." It all comes down to me. 23 years ago. Okay, so this was, again, being written back in 2008. So back even further, right? 23 years ago, life was hard. My work was unsatisfying. My husband was suffering at his job, and it seemed that other people were directing my life. I was unhappy. One fall day, I decided to take myself for a walk around my living room. On a deep intuitive level, I sensed that I could make a new choice for myself. That day, as I chose to be receptive and open to new possibilities, an idea began to sprout and within hours had fully blossomed. A few months later, my family and I were headed to Kauai, Hawaii, one of the islands on the Hawaiian chain, to live for 6 months. Some around us, well-meaning family and friends, were more than willing to share their opinions and advice about our choice to quit jobs, cash in 401ks. For those of you that don't live in the US, that's a retirement account, basically, and take off to the islands. But at the same time, there was another group who was very supportive of our decision. To me, once I had my plan, nothing was going to deter me. And those opinions of others, positive or negative, were not even on my radar. That's one determined woman, I'll tell you. I had finally chosen to take responsibility for creating my life. What freedom! As I moved ahead with all of the planning, organizing, and details of moving a family of 4 away from our home to an island life, I began to feel and live the joyous experience of living at choice. I knew that whatever the outcome of this decision, I was making it happen. I was willing to take full responsibility for this choice, happily and fully. From that day in my living room forward, I have never again doubted that my life is my job and my responsibility. It feels great. And oh, what a glorious life it is. As Joni Mitchell sings, it all comes down to you. And of course, I substitute me, of course. It all comes down to me. Thank you, Sherry. Woohoo! God bless you, girl. So let me kind of get into some. There's Sherry. Let me go back. There's Sherry. If you need to contact her, I want to contact her at sherryboone@aol.com. I'm pretty sure that's still active and alive. Some of the questions that come up for this chapter is, notice when you are or when you are not taking responsibility for creating your own life. That's the first step. First of all, believe that you can. And again, that's an attitude. That's a human attitude. That's not, I make a distinction in the book all the way through it. There are things that are, if you will, hardwired, that are endowments from God, if you will. And there are other things that I pick up, and I have a free will as a human being to choose, not choose, walk away from, move towards, etc. So I can choose to be conscious as human, or I can choose to be unconscious and just go with the flow. Don't rock the boat. And if you don't rock the boat, then you float in the direction of the society that's around you, from social media, family, culture, gender, etc. You're just floating. Not all of it bad, but I'm just saying there's a choice here, and attitudes are human choices. Second one point here is when you're not taking responsibility for creating your own life, who is creating your life for you? A spouse, a husband, a wife, a culture, a company, an organization, a spiritual tradition. Well, again, I'm not saying the good or bad here. I'm just saying who is directing your life. How responsible are you for creating your current life, like right now, this stage of life? You know, whether you're 25 years old or 45 years old or 65 years old, wherever you are in the stream of life, who's doing that now? You know, every now and then I'll pick up AARP, which is a magazine for the elderly. It's a joke now because you can join when you're 50. That's young for me. And they have an agenda, right? How do you want to be treated as an elder? How do you want to be treated? How do you have adult relationships? How do you protect yourself? There's a lot of stuff in there about, you know. So is that your current GPS? Are there any parts of your life you are already that you're ready to take more responsibility for creating? Okay. Maybe the work part of it, maybe the family unit part of it, maybe the primary relationship part of it, maybe the health part of it, personal bodily health part of it. Yeah, I'm taking more responsibility in this area. Super, hip hip hooray. Not so much in this area, but I maybe kind of would like to, you know, be able to speak my own mind in these kinds of situations, as opposed to acquiescing, shrinking, not being seen or heard. Whose fault is that? Okay. A lot of cases, it's mine. Easier to just be silent. I don't want to rock the boat again. Last one, when you choose the attitude of taking responsibility for your own life, what type of life are you taking responsibility for? In other words, what do you want to create? What are you here for? This is such a profound question for me. Let me get out of this screen here. This is such a profound thing for me, because I believe that every human being is here for a purpose. That you are unique as a human being. You have a unique set of skills, talents, purpose, values. We've talked a lot about that earlier. If you haven't listened to those, I encourage you to go back to the CoreSELFtech series. That in particular is a roadmap, brilliant roadmap, if I must say so myself, that I've created and studied over the last 25 years for people to actually know their inner brilliant self. Their brilliant positively self, that is an endowment from your creator, right? But however you hold that. So to know that about yourself, and then to continue to get closer and closer to that, are you doing the work that you're meant to be doing here? Are you doing it for the people that you're meant to be doing it for? It might be 3 grandchildren that you're here for, to change the trajectory of their lives. It may be for a small startup company, entrepreneurial venture. It may be to bring a new, it may be to create art. It may be whatever it might be, that you are specifically and uniquely qualified to do that comes from deep inside of your life's work, your life purpose. I often ask this, I pose the question to many, many people. I said, can you imagine a world where everybody is happy with being themselves? Truly happy, truly aligned, truly connected, truly on purpose for what they are meant to be doing. Can you imagine that? We'd have world peace overnight. We'd have more compassion and acceptance overnight. I believe that all judgments originate from self-judgment. Meaning, as Shakespeare might say, the world is a stage, or the world is a mirror. What I see in the world and pick up in the world is things that are important to me. And I see them as uniquely as I am a human being. So when I see people doing things that I judge as being inhumane, unfathomable, and earlier in life when I became irate with that, a teacher a long time ago said, write that judgment down. So they are being belligerent. They are being discriminating. Okay. They are being hostile. Whatever it was that set me off. And then the teacher was a wise teacher that said, okay, so now take that judgment and put the following question in front of it. Where in my life am I being hateful, belligerent, discriminating, etc.? And that one single tool has probably helped me more in terms of my own personal development than any other thing that I've done. If it's not the top number one, it's the top number 1, 2, or 3 in terms of a strategy of going deeper and deeper into my psyche, my mores, my way of living, and saying, well, I got some more work to do there. I still do. I still do. So, an attitude of I create my own life. I'll open it up to our, I have a lot of regulars I see here with Vivek and Kay and Charles and Sunny. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And the live streaming that's going out to YouTube, I'll have Cello put that into a chat box for me. In fact, let me just activate that so I can see it. And so you can cut and paste for that. So where are you? It's a pretty blunt question. Where are you in terms of creating your own life? I mean, is it like, you know, is it growing? Is it diminishing? Is it, you know, the 80%, 85% level? And you still got work to do like every other human being I know. Where are you? How are you? What do you do to do that? And again, that's an awful stack question. I'm embarrassed to call myself a master coach. I'll bring it back to one question. What do you do to remind yourself that it's your life to create? What are some of your practices?
I love this question because I love hearing I look forward to hearing what everybody's different practices are, because it's the practical way for me to align, to connect, to reference, to be living life from the inside out, you know, rather than the reverse. And so some of my practices, one of them is walking through this forest that I'm so privileged to be living in. And, you know, I kind of relate to Sherry's story of, as a child, when I was about 6 years old, I went with my family to Colorado, and I had grown up on the Gulf Coast, pretty flat, unattractive kind of oil refinery kind of town. And I call it the armpit of the United States. And we went from there to Colorado, and I was only 6 years old, but the mountains and the forest just really spoke to my soul as a child. And I told my parents at 6, when I grow up, I'm moving to this world.
Wow. Wow.
Because as a child, I thought it was a completely different world, really. And, you know, in 2019, my husband and I bought 5 acres, and we're here living in this. And to get to live in my chosen kind of nature day to day is such a call back to peace within and connection with my soul. And so one of my practices is to be in this forest. And lately I've been taking my practice of dance, which is another one of mine, a way of connecting into the forest. So I have my headphones on, and I'm just grooving around the trails and stuff. And this is my life I'm getting to live, and I'm really loving that. So
I hear lots of consciousness in that from 6 years old. I mean, that's amazing to me. It took me another 31 years after 6 years old for me to come to any kind of level of consciousness that you just talked about at 6. And a secret that now the whole world will know is that I have been imagining walking around in your woods for the last week since you had that backdrop, and somebody asked you, is that a you know, screen share? No, that's my backyard. So God bless you. Thank you for that. And the consciousness. What am I choosing consciously? Where to live? How to live? What am I doing with my life? Well, I go and get my headphones on, and I listen to music that moves me, literally, and I dance in my trees. And just a huge, beautiful thing to, I don't know, did you get it? Like when I'm imagining, okay, so you go do your walk around the trees and where your husband's cleared out or made a path or going over the stream or whatever's back all there. When you come back, is there a sense of rejuvenation? Is there a sense of clarity? What goes on in your head as you come back from that journey?
You know, it feels like it brings me back to peace. Like I said, I feel kind of the energy of the trees. Really, it feels like emanating peace and just clearing. I feel a real clearing of the mind and energizing of the body. And I also often will get, as you describe it, downloads. You know, once I've been in the forest for a little while, I start to get new ideas of things, and it kind of comes to me in phrases, or language is often the medium that comes to me. And sometimes it'll be ideas for coaching practices, or it'll be ideas for music, or it really varies. But I come back feeling a new sense of clarity and often new inspirations. Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah. Everybody should have that practice, and however they do that, whether it's through yoga, prayer, or, you know, doing something physical, or, you know, reading. A lot of people read, you know, holy scriptures or poetry or something to be inspired. Watching a favorite movie that you know, inspires them or opens them up to possibility, reminds them of, oh yeah, I'm a human being, I can do this. You know, if they can do it, I can do it. I love that. Thanks, Kay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for having 5 acres of awesome trees that you are the preserver of and the steward of. I love that.
I feel so fortunate. Thank you.
Who else would like to share in terms of what do you do to remind yourself of your core self? I've got a choice. I'm in the driver's seat. It sometimes doesn't feel like that. I'm pushed around by my boss or by society or by COVID or by whatever governmental dictates. How do you reconnect? How do you come back to that attitude? Yeah, so I'm gonna leave that same question on the table for Charles or Sunny or Vivek. Ones I can see on my screen. There may be others.
Um, I can share something, Peter. Like when you asked this question, I wasn't really sure um, that I do it very consciously. And
Mm,
then I started to think what has been happening. So I come from, following Hinduism, where the concept of karma is quite prevalent.
mhm,
That what you uh, sow, you will reap it later, and things around that. So that is quite ingrained, and you kind of understand it. So consciously, I would not think that this is something which is not created by me. I
mhm,
assume it is like that.
mhm,
Um, what I've experienced is a lot of times where I am, especially like when I was in office or in my morning meditations, I used to recount, okay, what all tasks I need to do. What would happen is, if if I am in the need of meeting somebody, that somebody would walk up to me, and then there would be something which will happen, um, as I planned in meditation in some form, not exactly. And then I used to relate it more to flow. So
mm,
wherever I experienced and acknowledged flow, I think that's how, in my mind, I was like, oh, this is happening. What used to happen mostly was very relatable to maybe that day's thought process or a day before. Um, and it's very funny why you asked, because I was just thinking in my last few sessions in a coaching session, I was the coach here, and I had this thought coming in my mind that, oh, this is my desire being fulfilled, because I have been running away from my usual core job. So I'm a finance professional, and I always used to be like, no, I didn't want to be a finance professional. I am a creative guy, and so always trying to blame it on my sister or my parents why they enrolled me into this course. And the other day when I was having the coaching session, I said, oh, I am having my desire fulfilled that I want to do a job differently every day. So I used to think that I may do N jobs, and coaching allowed me to live the life of other people through me. So I was just doing something very unique, like every day with a session, I am doing something which I'm not. So I'm living somebody else's life. And that really was like, oh, this was my desire and it is now getting fulfilled. So
wow.
that is the other thought which I had, I'll share on this. But yeah, so it's just come like that. What I relate to your question may not be exact, but there is some practice, but that's what I feel I've been
I want to pick up two themes. One is that when you are living your own life, there's a sense of flow. There's a sense of I'm meant to be doing this, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy, by the way, because it can be arduous, but I'm still doing my life, right? So it's not like, yeah, I'm here to be the prince. I want everybody to, meet every need. Yeah, no, that's not it. So, but I love the idea of flow because there's a sense of deep satisfaction for me that when I'm in that flow, there's a sense of, yes, I am living life on purpose, my purpose, not somebody else's purpose, but I'm in the flow of being. I'm in the flow of perhaps learning. In the Hindi sense from the karma, and I'd like to get into that a little bit further. There might be a thing of, okay, so yeah, I'm burning some of the old karma, or I don't know, I don't completely understand it, but my sense is that we come back in another lifetime to correct or learn or improve upon what we didn't learn the last time, is kind of my American Western concept of that. So the question coming back to karma is how do these mesh? Does the idea of I am here for a purpose, and am I living that purpose? Am I doing what I'm meant to be doing in this lifetime? How does that mesh with the concept of I'm here for another lifetime, either burning off karma or correcting karma, or how do you hold that, Sunny?
So, so I'll explain it through my life purpose. It states that um, I'm here to bring stillness in people, to make them realize that they are part of all that is.
Wow.
And the true purpose is to find God.
Yeah.
So if I look at that, I think it matches with, the core self philosophy as well, that you have to go back to that divine nature.
Mm,
And the karma philosophy is saying that what you sow, so shall you reap.
got it.
So it means if you have separateness of any kind over lifetimes, either in thought or in action or in feeling,
Mm,
you will face that to correct it, as you were saying, in some other time. And the separateness also means that, I desire something, and while I am everything, so I am thinking that I am only this little body right now.
mhm,
So if I am limiting myself to that thought, I have a separateness. So unless I resolve that, I will continue to keep coming and facing those karmic tests, which we say,
mm.
till you finally reach that conclusion that, okay, you live your divine nature and just accept that you are one with all that is.
Wow. Wow. This sounds very congruent to me. So the quicker, the faster, the more complete that I am living my life's purpose. Doing what I'm here to do. I have the concepts that don't separate me from anything, everyone, everything. The faster I self-actualize, kind of in the words of Maslow. Any other practices, or what other practices that you have that helps you do that, Sunny?
For me, meditation is the main one.
Mhm.
And then I shared this in the previous session also. A lot of times it is just um, like while walking, or while driving, I will just connect. So um, I think it's more listening.
Mm, mhm.
So you're just trying to listen to yourself, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's the practice when I'm driving,
Mm,
which allows me to connect.
love that. Yeah. Open up to listen. Open up to. And I'm hearing, when I hear the words opening up to listen, it's not just with my ears, it's with my heart, it's with my being, it's with opening up my whole soul, my whole divinity to what's available to me, or what's trying to get through to me, is the way that I interpret that. Is that accurate for what you're referring to, or is it literally just listening through the ears?
No, it's in the beingness. Like, for instance, I will look at a tree
Mhm.
and relate to that how it is God, or
Yeah.
even another person, or anything or anyone,
Yeah.
and that then becomes accepting the other person.
Amen. Hallelujah. Yes. Yep. 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 Thank you, Sunny. Thank you, Sunny. Anything else you want to share or add to that?
No, I think
I I keep thinking of your cool logo, Sunny, with the Mobius and the Sunny Connect. It sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I am I am grateful that it all makes sense. But again, I think they have been just pieces all scattered around. But yeah, I think somewhere they all connect like that. But it is like that, the meaning.
Beautiful. Thank you. And good memory. Yay, Kay.
That stuck with me. Your logo is super cool. It really has stayed with me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. Who else would like to add to the discourse? Charles?
Well, I've been holding back a little bit, processing and questioning my present circumstances. I'm half a block from one of the cleanest rivers in the United States of America. There is a forest preserve across the street in that direction. I have a beautiful backyard with a tulip tree and a swinging chair designed by Bucky Fuller that I've done a lot of my writing in. But I spend 10 or 12 hours a day sitting here with the flow of initiatives that I stirred up decades ago. And it's like the cosmic tumblers have turned for receptivity to cause, purpose, spirit, awakening, being a blessedness, caring about the earth. So, I haven't been to that river since October. It's less than a half a block away. Of course, it's winter here now, so I'm rationalizing, but I'm just, I know you talk about the 100-year-old trees, and now Kay's got me jealous of her 5 acres in Colorado. So I'm going to do a little reflection on, could I start inching towards the outdoors? My vision is to complete enough of the publishing and the producing of seminars and workshops to help people find CoreSELFie. I mean, I've hijacked one of my meetup groups, and it's all about CoreSELFie now, and occasionally people accept that. So I believe in karma. I also believe in dharma, and I have a sense that I came here to contribute something. Unlike Bill Clinton, I did participate fully in the 60s, and I woke up under a fence in somebody's yard once, and I just realized I don't want to have that conversation with St. Peter of trying to explain why I did not do what I came here to be doing and have stewardship over. So that's what I'm processing. I love Sherry's quote. I do love the positive mental attitude. I've shared before that I learned from Paul J. Mara when I was 40 years old that he'd found 5 success qualities worldwide. And I know, Peter, these two, we've shared them. Number 1, positive mental attitude. It starts with, I used to say it starts with positive mental attitude. Now I say, after you do the CoreSELFie, at least exercise 1 and 2, then it goes to positive mental attitude. So I'm processing, and thanks for asking. Thanks for this opportunity to at least have a barometer on Tuesdays of how I'm doing. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Charles, as usual. Thank you for your work. Thank you for being on my planet. You're making it a better place for me and for everybody. Well, we've got about 15 minutes for anybody's exploration into any part of this or a topic that's related, perhaps. I haven't heard from Vivek. I see he's in the blackness of the night, which he often is and loves being there. So any words of wisdom we would welcome from Vivek, or questions or inquiries as well. And I see he's unmuted himself. So let me put a spotlight on him, add a pen. There it is. Hey, Vivek.
Hi there. Hey, Charles and Sunny. Hi, Kay. So I'm going to add on to, I have principally what everybody said. Firstly, Kay, if you see a big shadow moving around in that forest over there humming a tune, it's me. So don't get worried. All right.
I like it.
Yeah. And Charles, you won't be alone by the river, no matter how cold. But yeah, we've been fortunate to sort of grow up with the philosophy of Karam. Not that many of us, I think, as children, understood it for what it was, but it was always, you know, it's been there as a part of a Hindu's life. And as you know, Hinduism isn't a religion. It's a range of mountains called the Hindu Kush Mountains, and all the other people call the guys who lived on the southern side of that range. They said, well, they're Hindus, you know, because they live in that part of the Hindu Kush. And that's how the name, you know, Hindu came to be. You know, with a lot of respect to Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I think that's, you know, and he's moved on, so rest in peace. And I think Daniel Goleman, who said a lot of words on flow, where flow was described to be as one, where you're in a place where there's an unconscious movement between one action or one thought and another. And at the end of it all, you know, everything seems to have happened and you don't really realize that you had a role in it or credit in it. And in as far as that is concerned, that is the modern definition of flow. I think we come from a thought, which I like to share, that everything that's happening or appears to be happening in life is flow itself, you know. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about the individual aspect of flow, it's whether I'm at terms with it or not. So if I'm, you know, if I have no resistance to whatever is happening, then life is a cakewalk, appears to be flow, appears to be, you know, cool. So it's my resistance that will, from the modern concept of flow, it's my existing resistance or the lack of it that defines whether I'm in flow or not. But the larger part is whatever this colossus of life is happening anyway, and that isn't flow, you know. We call that Maya, let's say, the grand illusion. It's happening anyway. So everything that is, and this comes down to that point of victimhood and responsibility, every single thing that is happening in my life right now, absolutely every single thing, has been a result of my discomfiture with the world that's happening or the events that are happening. If I don't like something, then I want to do something different. You know, I don't like this, I like the forest, which is saying I'm not happy with where I am, which is also saying that sometime back I took the choice to be where I am, and apparently I'm not happy with my own choice. And there you go, you know. And so everything that's happening is of my own doing. You know, well, I live in Delhi, as some of you know, and you know, Delhi has become notorious for being the pollution capital of the world and the crime against women capital of the world. You know, and so technically it's hell. And I tell my friends, I said, hey, you have a friend who has a home in hell. You know, so if you want to be comfortable in hell, there's a way. There's a way to do that. But when we resist by putting up blocks, which inevitably are going to get knocked down, because whether we like it or not, the nature of something, the nature of a flower bud is to bloom. And you can freeze it and you can cut it and modify it and mutate it, and it will bloom, at some point. That's the nature of the flower. So the nature of every human being is to achieve, self-actualization. I think Maslow only made it to that point. He didn't go ahead, but I believe there's a lot more, further up. So it's the nature of every human being to reach that. So whether I write it as my objective or I don't write it as my objective, that is where I'm going to be. All roads lead to Rome, no matter which road we're on, and we can be on 8 billion roads, but they will all lead to Rome eventually, So I think there's a lot of grace and gratitude for that. That even if I choose otherwise, I will find my godhood. Because I did choose otherwise, to do this, be that, do this, be that, and, put up businesses and, wind them down. And but I think I was lucky that it was time to let go of that habit of listening to everything else except for the silence of the inside. I don't know if that's made any sense.
For me, it makes a lot of sense, Vivek. There's the thing that you're bringing to the table today, I think, is a sense of deep, really deep self-responsibility. I live in hell because I created that. I live in wherever because I created that. I made choices to be here. And so there's if you will, an uber sense of self-responsibility of this is my life to live, and I can choose it. I can be responsible for it, or I can choose to not be responsible for it. And that again is a choice, which has its own ramifications. And if I go back to the core nature in terms of what a core selfie represents, or positively brilliant self, or divine self, however any one of you might define or hold that, the true nature is for me to be me. And there's something that is eternal about that for me. I'm in a temporal body right now. Yeah, I'm a male, I'm an American, I'm, age that I am, and so on and so forth. I wear the skin that I wear. But for me, there's that sense of eternalness of, am I being true to that? Am I being true that true nature, not temporal nature, but true nature? And when I'm in that true nature and in alignment with that, make choices that are in alignment with that, then I'm in that flow, I'm in that grace, I'm in that generative space that is who I'm meant to be, or not, as the case may be. A fellow, good dear friend of mine, he said, Peter, whatever has a beginning must have an end. Like, it's so simple, but it's like, really? Yeah. Whatever has a beginning has an end. So I was born, therefore I'll die. If I start something, then it will end sometime. It may be within minutes, it may be within years, it may be within decades, it may be within lifetimes. But the part of me that is eternal didn't have a beginning. I am part of that. Some people call it the God spark, or the creator, or the whatever, that has always been, always will, is now, forever will be. My job in this segment of my journey is try to be more conscious with my choices, what I do, who I be, not get caught up in the frenzy of what others want me to be, or I'm supposed to be or supposed to be doing. And for me, that brings just enormous peace. Enormous peace. I think one of the reasons that I personally am so healthy is because I have been trying to live congruently with that sense of beingness, oneness, eternalness for so many years, for three and a half decades now. If I hadn't changed my trajectory at 37, I would either be dead or laid up in a hospital or severely crippled by now. I'm convinced of that. Instead, I'm just the opposite of all those things. So
you could have been consigned to hell, like Delhi.
Yeah, I could have been your roommate. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, if I may add a little, Peter, and if you will allow, just to take it a notch deeper, whether we, I believe that whether we realize it or not, that might change our truth of it, or our understanding our truth can be based upon our understanding, and our understanding is generally limited. It's only when we reach the unlimited understanding that it sort of all falls into place. And the narrative of the other, it used to be like that. I did what they said, and I did what XYZ said. But the point is, there is no other. It's all me.
Mm-hmm.
And those are my voices.
Mm-hmm.
When someone's saying do this or do that or don't do this, that's my own controlling voice from a long time ago. And the question is that how much of my attention is that voice able to take? So am I allowing my history to come in and tug me back into my past? Because that person is speaking me, and the person who's saying go ahead, is speaking me. And just like in the passage you read out, the move to Hawaii, there were people who supported the move. So
Right.
These are all the self's voices. And lastly, if there is a consciousness, a super consciousness, if there is a God, and if we are trying to teach, tell humans to be compassionate, then God is compassionate, And the proof is that, I believe, the proof is that, of that compassion, is that you are destined to know your Godhood, whether you like it or you don't. Whether you like it or you don't, and which you already are, that your conscious mind realizes it today or not, is the question. But the compassion of God is that, bang, that's your destiny. You will know that you and I are one, and that's it. Anything less cannot be that beautiful God that we imagine.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Well, I'd say Vivek is not in hell and he's not in darkness, because there's a lot of enlightenment in that. And I thank you for a positively brilliant insight. I have a little exercise when we introduce ultimate destiny, and it's where are you on the ladder of enlightenment? Where are you on Maslow's hierarchy? Where are you on David Hawkins' map of consciousness? And I've never overlaid those two, because I believe you're right on. Maslow took it so far, maybe to the level of empowerment, 200 on that map of consciousness. And it's the awakening to our true spiritual identity that is, I believe, where CoreSELFtech leads us. So, and Tuesdays with Peter and Kay and Vivek and Sunny and hello, for sure.
And that brings us to the end of the hour. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Charles. Very stimulating for me. So I want to appreciate all of you, Kay and Sunny, for your contributions. Back here next Tuesday, same time, same station, for another edition of Tuesdays with Peter. God bless. Namaste. Stay safe.
Hey, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kate. Charles, Sunny, thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Thank you.
You